Hello everyone, today is my day one of the 60 days code journey, and today I'm just explaining in this video the basics of CPP. So firstly, the shortcut header. Shortcut header is it's just a shortcut header that includes almost every standard C++ library in one line, so that we need not to include this separately, like IOStream, vector, algorithm, map. These are all included inside the shortcut header. Again, this is a non-standard header. Okay, then user input and output. So cin and cout are used to take the input and output, and respectively. And cin is the object which is inside the iStream class, and cout is the object which is under the OStream class, and both are belonging to the standard namespaces. Standard namespace. So for that purpose, we have to include this line using namespace std. Also, we can write with the help of std colon colon. So, but to avoid that particular complexity, we can just write this line. And in order to use any of the class in our program, we can use this. We can just write at the start itself using namespace std. So these both are belong to the IOStream library and under the standard namespace. Then comes the data type. So data types are they are something which tells the compiler that what type of value a variable is holding and what memory it needs. It's like int x equal to 5. So x is a variable which is holding the integer type of value, and which is of uh, that taking the memory of 4 bytes. So here are some of the data types written here. Like first is the integer type, and these all are the built-in data types. Integer type is having some of the categories like int, long, long, short, unsigned int, unsigned long, long. These are having their specific sizes. For integer, like 4 bytes, long, long 8 bytes, short 2 bytes. These are the sizes of these data types. Now, why we use long, long? So we use long, long whenever let's say a value we are storing inside a variable, and if it is of integer type, and if the value is going beyond the maximum integer value, so we will have to use the long, long. In most of the DSA problems, often when the values or the calculations go up to the uh, value, let's say 10 to the power 12 or 10 to the power 18, then we will have to use this long, long, because it will not fit inside the integer value. It goes beyond that maximum value. Then floating point type. So it is again having the different categories like float, double, long, double, and they are having their specific sizes. Like float is having 4 bytes, double is having 8 bytes, like this. Then the character types are there. Character type is there, char, which is having 1 byte. There are the characters are included inside the single quotes. Then boolean. So boolean is having the two values, like it can have two values, true or false, 1 or 0, and the type is bool. Then the quick visual memory map. So here the character is taking the 1 byte, integer takes 4 bytes, float takes 4 bytes, double takes 8 bytes, and long, long takes 8 bytes. Now, if our calculations, as we are talking earlier here, that why we are using the long, long instead of int if the value is going beyond the integer maximum value. So here's the reason, that if our calculations are crossing the 2 into 10 to the power 9 value, let's say we are having particular n value, and just take an example that we are finding the total of 1 to n numbers. It means the formula will be n into n plus 1 by 2. Now if n value is such that the calculations, the result come with a value which is going beyond this particular value, because this is a value maximum, integer maximum value, and if that value is going beyond that particular value, this 2 into 10 power 9, then we will have to use long, long as the data type, because the integer variable cannot hold this particular that value which will go beyond this. So this is not the input size, this is the result of operations, as I just explained. So the integer ranges from minus 10 power 9 to 10 power 9. Long, log is having from minus to the minus 10 power 12 to 10 power 12, and long, long is having minus 10 power 18 to 10 power 18. And here I have also included the code parts for this, and also added in my GitHub repository, so you can also check it there. Now comes the string. So here the string, here is the string example I have taken. Now let's say if I am taking my name as a string input, then when I will go to print that particular string, it will only print the first string, means before the first space, whatever is there, it will print only that part. Whenever it will see the space, it will just stop there. So in order to solve that particular problem, I can just do either this thing, that I can take two strings here as declare the two strings, and then just enter that string, and first this s1 will see the first string, and then after the space whatever it is written it will see second string, and then it will print the whole, means along with the space. And either we can use another alternative, that we can use the getLine function. And now what the getLine function do? So getLine function basically reads the entire input, and whatever means the entire line until it hits the new line character, and whenever it hits the new line character it just removes that new line character from the buffer, and then it removes that particular new line character, and also stops then and there. So this is the work of getLine character. Now if we are using the cin before the getLine character, let's say we have taken the input of a particular number before this, and obviously after taking the and after taking that input we are now taking the string as an input. So now after taking the input of that number, and then when I hit the enter, then the new line character will be stored inside the buffer. Now getLine function will see that particular new line character, will see that new line character, and will see that yes, there is a new line character, so I will have to stop then and there, and it will just return the empty string. So in this case, if we have to avoid this particular scenario, then we will have to use cin.ignore after taking the integer input, so that whatever the new line character is left behind after hitting the enter, that new line character should remove from the buffer. And after that, when the getLine will come, when it reads that uh, uh, string from there itself where we have just stopped, it will not see a new line character, and it will let us to take the string as the input. Otherwise we will not even get the chance to take the string as the input. So this is the work of getLine, and this is the work of cin.ignore. So without cin.ignore, the getLine function will immediately read the leftover new line from the previous input, and we will not even get a chance to type the string. Okay, this is all about this string. Now character is already, we have seen that it is taking 1 byte and having the character included inside the single quotes. Now the if else statements are there. So if else statements are just used in order to have the particular conditions. Like if a particular condition is not uh, satisfying, then we can use the else block, and then like if else if. So this is the example we can see here in order to understand more about the if else. Okay, so this is all about this. Now, it means whatever the conditions we are giving inside the if it is not matching, we can go to else if, then we can go to else if, and if one of the condition goes true, it will just be executed, and rest of them will not be executed. It's all about the if else statement. And then switch statement. So the same example we can also see in the switch statement. I've taken another example in which we take a particular expression and then check that if that expression is valid or not. If that expression goes true, it means whatever expression we have given inside the switch, it just checks, it just compares with the cases, the case labels, that if it matches with the case labels, it executes that particular case. And also we have to we also have to check this, that we have used the break or not, because if we are not using break, whatever the case is executed, all the cases under that particular case will be executed. So we have to compulsorily put the break there, so that after the case is executed, we just come out of this switch. Okay, this is about the switch statement. And then for loop, while loop, do while loop. So these for loop are used whenever we are having a particular iterations. We know that what are the number of iterations will be working, we have to perform. So at that time we use the for loop, and it's just like the example I have written, that I have to print my name for any particular number of times. So I can take the input and then print something. Then while loop. So while loop is similar to this, just the initialization goes at the top, and then whatever the condition we have to check is it goes inside the while, and after that whatever the function whatever the code we have to execute, it will be executed, and then we have to also increment the I so that it can move to another iteration. So in case of while, when we don't know that how many number of times we have to perform any iteration, so at that time we use while loop. This is the just difference between the for and while loop. Then then comes the do while loop. So when we want that for at least one time our code should execute, at that time we use the do while loop. Just in this particular example, we can see that I have taken I equal to 3, and we know that I greater than equal to 3, it is false. But because we are using the do while loop, it will be executed for once, and then it will be here the condition will just fail, so it will not run there. So this is the work of do while loop. Okay, now going to the functions. So what is a function here? Firstly, a function is a block of code that performs a specific task. So if we want a particular task to be performed on function calling again and again, we can just write a function implementation, a function to perform that specific task, so that whenever we want a task to be performed, we can just call that function. So it helps in reusing the code, it helps in reducing the repetition, it makes the code clean and organized, and also breaking the problems into smaller parts. Now types of functions. So there are like built-in functions are there, like we have to find the square root, so we can use this sqrt function, max function, min function, sort function. So these all are the built-in functions which are given by the C++ library. Okay, now user defined functions are there, like functions which we create by ourselves. Now just think that I have to print my name for let's say any number of times. So I will just call a function that I will just write my function in order to print the names for some number of times. So this is the function we create, which are known as the user defined function. Now how to create a function? So we just write the return type, whatever the type, whatever the value we need. If we want a value to be returned, we can write the return type like integer or float or whatever it can be. Otherwise we can also write void if we are printing something and we not want anything in return. So we can just write the return type and give the function name and parameters, so it can be parameterized or parameterless. Now calling a function. So function calling is just done by this, we write the function name and followed by the parenthesis, and this particular thing executes the function. So it will just call the function, and wherever the function implementation or definition is written, it will be executed there. Then function with parameters. So as I just talked about, that the function can also have the parameters and the function with the return value. So here I have the void because I have to just print here, and it can also have the return type if I have to return any particular value. So I can use the integer or any of the data type corresponding to that. So like to here I can write this. For example, I can call this add function in order to add the two values, and whatever the value will be come in return, it will be just stored inside this sum variable. Now why are the functions more are important in data structures and algorithm? Because we can reuse the logic. For example, if we have to reverse the array, we have to find the maximum, we have to find the sum again and again, so we can reuse the same logic just by calling that function. And then it also divides the complex problem, it makes the code more modularized, and make the recursive functions, make sorting searching functions also, increase the code readability, and these all things. So it's basically a foundation, we can say, for the recursion when we will just go in that. And when I will be learning this, yes, will be it is a foundation for the recursion. So this is the key in the trees and backtracking and DP and all. Then function parameters, they can be passed by value or passed by reference. Passed by value means whatever the arguments we are providing inside the function, whatever the values are present inside the main function, let's say. So if we are passing it by value, it means we are giving the copy. It will create the copy of that original value. It will not affect the original value. It will just create its copy, and whatever the operations it has to perform, it will perform the operations in that copy, not the original value. Now in this pass by reference, so here what happens is that whatever the values we are giving, they are passed by reference. It means the original value is passed. Whatever the changes are done, they affect the original value. For example, I have passed this a here in function call, I have passed this particular x, so it will be passed by reference, and the value which will be going inside this, it will be passed by reference as the 5 is going here. And when this okay, this is not the example. The example is here that we are calling a particular function and we are passing the value by reference. So whatever whatever the changes we do, they are reflected inside the original value. Okay, and the pass by reference is done by writing this end operator here. This is tells that we are passing the value by reference. Okay, this is used basically a lot in the arrays and the recursion. So arrays are something which are passed by reference itself. We need not to write the end operator there. But whenever we are talking about the vector and maps and all, we have to give the end operator there so as to pass by reference. Then comes the function overloading. So function overloading is simple, that the function name is same but the parameters are different. So it's like the function name is same add here, but we can give the different parameters, like here int, here double. So that's the difference here. Then default arguments. So default arguments can be, it's like we are giving the multiply function. So inside this, uh, if we are giving with the only one parameter, so here a will take uh, that particular 5 here, but b will be using its default argument which we have given. So here b will take s2, which is already written inside this parameter. But in the second example, if we see the 5 and 10, so here b will use 10 itself because we have already given inside the argument. Now coming to the inline functions. So inline functions are something that reduces the function call overhead. It means the place at the point where we have called the function, it will be executed there itself. It will not go to the function definition and that. Then comes the function prototype. So in the function prototypes, uh, it's the declaration part. It means if the function is written after the main, so its prototype, or we can say the declaration, must be written before the function, before the main function, because the compiler, at the compilation time, the compiler sees that this particular function is available here with the parameters it is having. It is having the type of the parameters, what value it is going to return. So compiler must know initially, before only, so that whenever it goes inside the main function, it should not confuse that, yes, what is the function, I don't know about this particular function. So that's for that particular purpose we write the function declaration or prototypes, and they are not needed if we are writing the function definition at the start itself. Then they are not needed. But if we are writing the function definition or implementation after the main, then we have to mandatorily write the function prototype or the declaration at the top, so that the compiler knows about every function we are going to use. So yes, it is written that it is not required if the function is written above the main. Okay. Now functions and arrays. So whenever we are passing an array to a function, so this I have already told, that whenever we are passing a array to a function, so in that case they are always passed by reference. We need not to explicitly give the address operator there. So the changes inside the function affect the array. Yes, this is the thing. Then comes the recursion. So functions calling themselves. Recursion is we will whatever the function basics are there. Sorry, recursion basics. We will just go in the further videos, whenever I will be learning. So yes, but these are the foundation of this backtracking tree problems, DP, divide and conquer. And here is a simple example you can see here, that about recursion. And whenever I will learn about the basics of this, I will just explain them. Okay. And return types can be like void, integer, bool, string, custom, struct or class. So these are return types, where void do not returns anything, integer returns the integer value, and likewise. So here we have just completed the basics of CPP, and now after this I have also added this inside my GitHub repository. And now let's just go inside the basics of arrays. So inside the basics of arrays, it is just a part of revision. Simple thing it is that we already know that the array is the collection of elements which takes the same data type elements, okay, and stored in the continuous memory. So if we see the array, the address of the first element, that's the name of the array, that tells the address of the first element. So that particular address can be at any point, but whatever the elements are there after that first address, they will be in the continuous memory. This is the meaning of this. And declaration of the array is simple. We already know that in this form, integer array, and then give the size. Initialization, we can give the values there. And let's say we are giving a particular size, and with the less elements, then rest of the positions will be replaced by zeros. And we can also give like this, that without the size, it will take itself only, whatever is the size of array. Then in order to access the elements, we can just use indexing. Okay, and then for taking the input in an array, we can just use cn in order to using this particular loop. Then printing an array. So in order to print the array, we can simply use the cout and then print the array with the help of indexing, like arr of 0, then arr of 1, like that. For the size of array, we can just divide this size of array and divided by the size of first element, because size of array is the size of entire array, means we can say the total bytes. Okay, whatever the number of elements are there, the total bytes they are present in the array, and divided by the array of 0, it means divided by the first one element size, that is the bytes of the one element. So that's the size of array we can find. And then out of bind access goes, it's like whenever we are having a particular indexing and if we are going out of bound, it means the index which is not available, and if we try to access that value, it gives the out of bound kind of error. So here it gives the error that we are accessing the invalid memory, and it always keep index in the valid range from 0 to n-1. We should always do that, okay, because obviously it will go out of, it will give out of bound error, out of bound index error. Then arrays are fixed size, so once created they cannot be in, we cannot change the size of that array. Okay, it is not allowed to change. But for the dynamic size, yes, we use the vector. Okay, we want to use more size, we can use that with the help of vector. It is not available in the array. Then comes the 2D array. So 2D array is an array of integers. It's uh, just like that in a array we are storing the elements in elements, and in the 2D array, in every position it is there is present like a array of arrays, we can say. Okay, so think of it like the matrix or a table, or a table we can think of that like with the rows and columns it is having. So it's a 2D array, like 3 cross 4 matrix where 3 columns are there and 3 rows are there and 4 columns are there. Then declaring a 2D array is same as that of the 1D array, just the few differences like dimensions for the rows and columns, and initializing it, initializing a 2D array is again this. You can check here, and we can also give in the similar manner, like for the 2 rows and just 3 columns. So 2 rows will be like this for the first row, and this is the second row. In this way the elements will be taken from. Then accessing the elements is same as we are doing. Okay, that's similar thing, zero based indexing. And taking the input in a 2D array, so we can just do as we are doing using cin, and printing the particular root, printing the 2D array we can do using cout. Then the memory layout is yes, simple, that a 2D array is stored in a row major order. Row major order, so memory is like the rows are placed one after the another, means from 1 to 3 it is here, and then after second row is 4 5 6, in this way. Then number of elements in a 2D array, so if we have to find the number of elements in a 2D array, so it can be like rows into columns. If the array is this 5 rows 7 columns, so 7 into 5 35 elements will be there. This is all about the basics of arrays, and also I have written the code for this. This is simple for 1D and 2D, the declaration and initialization part. So this is all about the arrays. Okay, and then coming to the strings. So strings, here the simple basics are there for this also, that string is a in C++, it is basically a sequence of characters. Okay, whatever the characters we write, if we combine those sequence of characters, it becomes a string, included inside the double quotes. And we use the string class from this hash include string, and also as I've already explained, that we can use this shortcut header which already includes it automatically. Otherwise we can also use hash include string separately. And declaring and initializing the string, so here let's say I am having this string hello, and then I can take this name. So I have to print that, I can just do okay, let me take onto this. Okay, so we can see here that this is the name, and if I have to print that particular name, I can do that. Okay, then taking the input, so it is simple that we can take the single word only, but without any spaces. Okay, no spaces, we can take the single word, that is for taking the input. So hello we can take, but hello world, it will only store the hello, not the second word after the space. So full line with spaces, if we have to do, as we have just seen in the previous code, in the previous notes, we can use this get line in order to take the full line with the spaces. When we give this hello world as the input, it will store the entire line. Okay, and length of the string can be found by this particular function, length function, s dot length or s dot size also, they both are same. Okay, and accessing the characters, we can do that with the help of indexing too. Modifying the characters, simply we can do with the help of taking the index and then modify that particular index with a character. Okay, then adding or appending the string, so that we can also do with the help of like concatenation. Okay, so string, let's say I have to combine these both strings. p equal to, with the help of this plus and then having the space, we can combine those. Or also we can write in this way, like a becomes whatever the a is having, a plus that particular string. And these are some of the useful functions. Like length function is used to find the length of the string. S dot empty, it checks that if the string is empty or not. S dot clear just makes the string empty, and then S dot pushback, it just pushes that particular character inside the string but at the end. And the pop back, it just remove the last character from here. Then S dot substring, so it just tells that it just tells the substring that from this particular position until this length. Okay, and this S dot find, it finds the substring, then convert between the string and the number. So for that we can use this sty function, that whatever the string we are having, let's say if I have to convert into integer, then I can use this int x equal to this function. And if I have to convert, if I have to do reverse, like from integer to string, so I can just use the toString function in order to convert to string that particular integer number, integer. Then looping through a string, so that can be done using indexing in this particular manner, that I can use this loop and then just print every character from that string. And we can also use the for each loop, like there is a data type char, and every character from that string will be taken and then it will be printed. So these are all the basics of the string. Okay. These are all the basics of the string. So in this particular video we just saw the basics of CPP, some of the basics of arrays and strings, and just to have the better understanding of the loops and all, we will just see the patterns in the next video. I have just solved some of the patterns just to have the logic based understanding, or just for the revision purpose. So that I'll be explaining in the another video.